United States quarter dollar, and I want you to picture it for a second. Let's get started, but here's the thing about that ugly, beat-up quarter. That rough appearance is actually its greatest disguise. Because under all that grime and those scratches, a coin from 1965 can carry a secret that might just make your jaw drop. It's one of those fascinating little puzzles in the world of coin collecting, where the most valuable pieces are often the ones that look the most unassuming. While we're all trained to look for shiny gold or pristine, uncirculated condition, the real treasure is often hiding in plain sight, looking utterly miserable. That dull, grayish tone and those surface marks aren't necessarily a sign of worthlessness. In fact, they can be a clue, a piece of a story that makes this specific coin a rarity. So why is a common date like 1965 so important? Well, it all comes down to a moment of major transition in American history. For decades, our dimes, quarters, and half dollars were made of 90% silver. But by 1965, the price of silver had risen so much that the metal in a quarter was worth more than the face value of the coin itself. People were hoarding them and melting them down. The government had to act fast, so they changed the composition. The new 1965 quarter was a clad coin, meaning it had a copper core sandwiched between outer layers of a copper-nickel alloy. The plan was to make sure there were no silver quarters dated 1965. And they almost succeeded. But this is where it gets interesting. The mint was rushing to get these new coins into circulation. To save time and money, they decided to use leftover dies from 1964, the last year of the silver coins. That's why a 1965 quarter looks virtually identical to a 1964 quarter. But the critical detail, the one that can make you a serious chunk of change, is the composition. A tiny fraction of these 1965 quarters were accidentally struck on the old 90% silver planchets, the blank metal discs that get fed into the press to become coins. If you find one of those, you are holding a true era coin. Now here is how you check. Don't just look at the date. You need to look at the edge of the coin. A normal 1965 quarter will have a distinct copper-colored stripe running all the way around the rim, like a sandwich cookie. But a silver planchet era will have a solid, uniform silver edge with no brown stripe at all. If you see that, stop right there. You're not looking at pocket change anymore, you're looking at a coin that can sell for serious money. Even if it's dirty and worn, that silver edge is your golden ticket. In fact, many of these rare silver 1965 quarters were found in circulation just like this, looking old and beat up. And this is the moment where we talk about real money. A well-worn, circulated silver 1965 quarter can still be worth around $850 to a collector. If it's in better shape, but still clearly used, the value can easily jump to $1,300. Let's say yours is in impressive condition with minimal wear. You're now looking at $2,100. And if you have a truly pristine, high-grade example that has survived all these years without being circulated, you could be staring down a figure like $3,400. But wait, the very finest, top-tier specimens that have been certified and graded by professionals, those can reach up to $4,700 or even more, depending on the day and the buyer. That is a far cry from 25 cents. But there's another important detail to check. Besides the silver edge, you also want to look at the mint mark. Coins struck in Philadelphia don't have one, while coins from Denver have a D and San Francisco have an S. While the silver planchet era is the big one, there are also some rarer varieties with double die obverses, where you can see a slight shadow or doubling on the lettering or the date. These aren't as valuable as the silver era, but they can still add a nice premium, so take your time and inspect the coin under good light. Here is the most important piece of advice I can give you. Do not, under any circumstances, clean this coin. I know it looks dirty, and you want to shine it up to see the details better. Resist that urge completely. Cleaning a coin removes its natural patina and leaves microscopic scratches that dramatically reduce its value to a collector. That dirt and grime are part of its history. A coin that looks authentic and unaltered is always more desirable. Instead, if you think you have something special, gently set it in a protective flip or capsule to keep it safe from further damage. Take a moment and go through your change. Maybe that worn-out, ugly quarter you almost spent for a soda has been waiting 60 years for you to take a second look. The value is there, hidden in plain sight. It might be worth $850, it might be worth $4,700, or it might just be a cool piece of history. But you'll never know unless you check the edge. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Next, coin the coin itself. Hold it up, turn it over in your fingers, and just look at it. What you're probably seeing is a worn, dull, and damaged piece of metal that has been passed around for decades. The surface is likely scratched. The edges are probably smoothed down from countless trips through vending machines and cash registers, and the original luster that once made this coin shine is long gone. The details on George Washington's portrait are probably soft and mushy, with his hair lacking sharp definition, and the eagle on the reverse might look more like a tired bird than the proud heraldic symbol it was designed to be. It's the kind of coin that most people would toss into a jar, spend without a second thought, or maybe even throw away, because honestly, it just doesn't look like anything special. And that is precisely where most people make their biggest mistake. The assumption is simple. If a coin looks old and beat up, it must be worthless, especially when you consider that it has no silver content like the quarters minted before 1965. What most people don't realize is that the 1966 quarter occupies a truly unique place in American coinage history. This was a transitional period, a time of chaos at the U.S. Mint, when the entire country was facing a massive coin shortage. The Mint was running 24 hours a day, pumping out over 821 million of these quarters just to keep up with demand. And yet, hidden within that enormous mintage are coins that collectors are actively hunting for, coins that can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's talk about why this coin is so often overlooked, because understanding that is the first step to recognizing its potential value. One of the biggest misconceptions is about the missing mint mark. If you look at your 1966 quarter, you won't find a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco anywhere on it. Most casual collectors assume this is a rare error, but in reality, the U.S. Mint intentionally removed mint marks from all coins produced between 1965 and 1967 to discourage hoarding during that coin shortage, so that missing mint mark is actually the legal standard, not a mistake. Another reason people dismiss this coin is that it's made of copper-nickel clad, not silver. By 1966, the mint had fully transitioned away from the 90% silver composition that made earlier quarters so valuable, so most people assume that if there's no silver, there's no value. And with over 821 million of these coins produced, it's easy to understand why the average person would think this coin is nothing but pocket change. But here is where the story gets interesting, because once you understand the historical context, you start to see why collectors care about this coin. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and it features John Flanagan's iconic portrait of the first president on the obverse. The reverse shows a large heraldic eagle with wings fully extended, clutching a bundle of arrows, with an olive branch positioned between the eagle and the denomination. What you want to look for is the quality of the strike. Is Washington's hair well defined? Can you see the individual feathers on the eagle's wings? Are the rims sharp and distinct, or are they flattened and worn down? The visible features on this coin are your first clues, and they matter more than you might think. Now let's get to the part that really matters, the money. You need to understand that condition is everything with a 1966 quarter. In circulated condition, most of these coins are worth exactly their face value of 25 cents. According to the NGC price guide, a circulated 1966 quarter is worth between 30 cents and 85 cents. But once you move into uncirculated territory, the numbers start climbing fast. A coin graded MS63 might only bring a few dollars, but at MS65, you're looking at values that start to get attention. And if you're lucky enough to find one in MS67 condition, you're talking about serious money, because fewer than 100 examples have been graded at that level by PCGS. This is where the four-figure prices come into play. Let me give you some specific numbers so you understand what's at stake here. A 1966 quarter with a double die reverse error, graded XF45 sold for $920. That's almost $1,000 for a coin that most people would overlook. Special mint set quarters which were produced in limited numbers of just over 2.2 million instead of proof sets during this period, can command even higher premiums. An SMS quarter in high grade with cameo contrast can be worth $1,650 or more. Move up to MS68 condition, and you're looking at prices around $2,750. A pristine example graded MS68 Plus sold for a staggering $20,400 in 2023. And if you happen to find one of the legendary transitional errors, a 1966 quarter accidentally struck on a leftover 90% silver planchet, those have sold for anywhere from $3,850 up to $4,900 and beyond, with some reaching as high as $21,000. So let me reinforce this point. This coin carries strong value, but only if you know what you're looking for. It's not about the silver content, it's about the condition, the strike quality, and the errors. The 1966 quarter is a perfect example of a coin that looks like nothing but can be worth everything. And because over 821 million of them were made, there's actually a decent chance that you or someone you know has one sitting in a jar somewhere. The key is knowing how to identify it correctly. Look for sharp details, check for doubling on the letters, especially on the word Liberty and on the reverse, and pay attention to any unusual characteristics that might indicate an error. And whatever you do, do not clean the coin. That is the single most important piece of advice I can give you. Cleaning a coin, even with something as gentle as soap and water, can permanently damage the surface and reduce the value by 90% or more. Collectors want original surfaces, not polished ones, so the next time you see a worn, dull, and damaged 1966 quarter, don't just assume it's worthless. Take a closer look. Check the details, examine the edges, and consider having it professionally graded if you think you might have something special. The difference between a 25-cent coin and a $4,000 coin can come down to the smallest details, and that's what makes coin collecting so fascinating. This coin has been hiding in plain sight for decades, and now you know the secret that most people don't. The 1966 quarter isn't just pocket change, it's a piece of history that could be worth serious money. Second coin, the 1987 D quarter, the Liberty coin with the D mint mark. That's what we're talking about today, and let me tell you right now, if you have one of these in your pocket or tucked away in a drawer somewhere, you need to pay very close attention, because what I'm about to share with you could completely change how you see this small piece of change. The 1987 D Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, and over 655 million of them were produced that year. That is an enormous number, and it's exactly why most people will tell you this coin is common, ordinary, and worth nothing more than 25 cents. But those people are looking at the surface, and they are missing the hidden treasure that could be sitting right in front of them. Now let me tell you the real story about the value of this coin, because this is where things get incredibly exciting. The current value of a 1987 D quarter ranges from its face value of just 25 cents all the way up to over $1,100. That is a staggering range, and it all depends on one thing, the condition of your coin. In circulated condition, the kind you find in your pocket change after buying a coffee, these coins are worth between 30 cents and maybe 85 cents. That's barely above face value, and it's why most people never give them a second thought. But here is where the magic happens. If you have a 1987 D quarter that has never been used in circulation, a coin that has retained its original mint luster and shows no signs of wear, the value begins to climb dramatically. In uncirculated mint state condition, these coins can be worth anywhere from $7 to over $400. And when we talk about the absolute highest grades, the coins that are nearly flawless under magnification, we are talking about values that will make your jaw drop. Let me give you the maximum prices that have actually been paid for these coins, because this is the part that really gets the heart racing. A 1987 D quarter in MS67 condition sold for over $1,100 at auction. That is not a typo. I am talking about a coin that started its life as 25 cents, and it sold for more than $1,100. Another top-grade specimen fetched $675.63 at heritage auctions. And records show that pristine examples have sold for as much as $1,526. Let that sink in for a moment, because your 25-cent coin could be worth $1,526. Now you might be wondering, how can a coin that was made in such huge numbers be worth so much money? The answer lies in the grading system and the incredible rarity of coins that have survived in perfect condition. You see, these coins were transporting from the mint in huge canvas bags, and as they rubbed against each other during shipping, they acquired tiny nicks and scratches that we call bag marks. These tiny imperfections are invisible to the naked eye, but under magnification, they make the difference between a coin worth 25 cents and a coin worth over $1,000. To achieve a grade of MS67, a coin must have virtually no visible marks, even under magnification. Out of the 655 million coins produced, only a tiny fraction have ever achieved this elite status. The grading scale goes from 1 to 70, and for the 1987 D quarter, the difference between an MS66 and an MS67 can mean a value collapse of over 90%. That is how important condition is, and that is why professional grading by services like PCGS or MGC is absolutely essential if you think you have a valuable coin. These are the companies that authenticate and grade coins, and their certification is what gives collectors the confidence to pay top dollar. Now let's talk about the history of this coin, because understanding where it came from makes owning one so much more meaningful. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It was originally intended to be a one-year commemorative design, but it became so popular that it ended up becoming the permanent design for the quarter dollar. The obverse features the profile of George Washington facing left, with the word liberty above him and the motto "In God We Trust" on the left side. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and his initials JF can be found on the neck truncation of Washington's portrait. On the reverse side, you will find the American eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, with olive branches below. This design represents both the strength and the peace of the United States. The words United States of America appear at the top, and quarter dollar at the bottom. The D mint mark on your coin, which is located on the right side of Washington's ponytail, tells us that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Now here is something that many people don't realize. The Washington quarter was struck in 90% silver through 1964. But starting in 1965, the composition was changed to a copper-nickel clad composition because silver was becoming too expensive. Your 1987 D quarter is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel over a pure copper center. It weighs 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. These are the specifications that make it feel substantial in your hand, a coin with real weight and history. The year 1987 was an interesting time in American history. Ronald Reagan was in his second term as president, the Cold War was winding down, and the economy was experiencing both growth and challenges. The United States Mint produced over 1 billion quarters across all mint locations that year, with the Denver Mint contributing 655,594,696 of them. The Philadelphia Mint produced 582,499,481 coins with the P mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint produced 4,227,728 proof coins with the S mint mark. The proof coins were specially made for collectors with polished dies and specially prepared planchets, and they were never intended for circulation. But the 1987 D quarter that you might have in your possession right now, that coin was meant to be spent, to be used in everyday transactions across America. It bought cups of coffee, paid for bus rides, and passed through countless hands over the past 39 years. The fact that it has survived in good condition after all that time is nothing short of remarkable, and it's precisely why collectors are willing to pay such high prices for the ones that have remained pristine. Now you might be wondering, how many people actually want to buy this coin? The answer is that there is a thriving community of collectors who are actively seeking high-grade 1987 D quarters. These are people who build registry sets, compete to have the finest collections, and are willing to pay premium prices for coins that can help them achieve their goals. The The demand is driven by the challenge of finding coins in MS67 or MS68 condition, coins that are virtually perfect and incredibly difficult to locate. Auction records show that these coins regularly sell to eager bidders who understand their true worth. If you have a 1987 D quarter, the first thing you need to do is examine it carefully. Look at the surface, check for any signs of wear, and see if it has that original mint luster that makes uncirculated coins so beautiful. If it looks like it could have come straight from the mint, you need to have it professionally graded. The difference between a raw coin and a certified coin can be hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Do not make the mistake of selling your coin without knowing exactly what you have, because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. The 1987 D quarter is proof that treasure can be found in the most unexpected places. It's a reminder that value is not always obvious, and that sometimes the things we overlook are the things that hold the greatest potential. So the next time you get change from a purchase, take a moment to look at the coins in your hand. Check the date, check the mint mark, and pay attention to the condition. You never know when you might be holding a coin that is worth $1,526. This coin represents the intersection of history, art, and economics. It carries the image of the father of our nation. It was struck at a historic mint in Denver, and it has survived decades of circulation to potentially become a valuable collectible. The story of the 1987 D quarter is the story of American numismatics, a field where ordinary objects can become extraordinary treasures. I want you to understand that the value of this coin is not just about the money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the excitement of finding something special in your everyday life, and the connection to history that comes with holding a piece of American coinage. When you hold a 1987 D quarter, you are holding a piece of 1987, a year that is now part of our shared past, and you have the opportunity to own a piece of that history in the finest possible condition. So let me ask you this, do you have a 1987 D quarter? Have you checked your change jar, your old coin collection, or that box of random coins you inherited from a relative? Because if you do, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. The market is active, the demand is real, and the prices are reaching levels that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. This is your moment to discover the true value of what you have, and to potentially turn 25 cents into over $1,000. The 1987 D Washington quarter is valuable. It is valuable in circulated condition as a piece of American history, and it is extraordinarily valuable in uncirculated condition as a collector's treasure. The maximum price you can get for this coin is over $1,526, and that is a figure that should motivate every single person watching this video to go check their coins right now.